This segment of Off the Page is brought to you by Lincoln Financial. Make your pastimes last a lifetime. All right, we're ready for our segment sponsored by Lincoln Financial, featuring a couple of gentlemen from E4 Insurance Services, co-CEO Brendon DeRouin. Welcome to you, Brendon.
Hey, thanks for having us, Chuck.
Good to have you with us. And second, Greg Spaeth, the president at E4 Insurance Services. Welcome to you, Greg.
Good to be with you, Chuck.
Hey, you guys wrote a very interesting article in the July, August edition of Aspire magazine. Decisions you make about AI today propel tomorrow's growth. So a great article. I really hope everyone takes a look at that in the July, August edition of Aspire. I wanted to see, get your views and kind of go off the page here on what you consider the 2 to 3 best use cases related to AI for an independent agent to get the fastest ROI. And Brendon, I'll have you start with that question.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends where they are on their learning curve with AI. But as you develop, along the journey, being able to review and enforce policy or competing illustrations, I mean, it is a very knowledgeable tool that if you're not using, I feel like you're missing out and being wildly inefficient.
Absolutely. Greg, anything you would add kind of from a best case scenario?
Yeah, I think the second part to that is that there are a lot of things that you can use AI today that helps you understand your client and how they learn. It's a great tool to actually help with your approach in your discussion with them. And then there's some resources within taking notes, right? And being able to, after an initial meeting with a client, it can actually help you better articulate back to them what you heard and then help with, giving them solutions that matter.
You also both, in your article, gave a good perspective around cost, that it's rather inexpensive. Some of the tools are actually free in the marketplace. Talk about, from your vantage point, what an adoption plan looks like.
I think one of the simplest steps you can use is an AI note taker. And I know a lot of broker dealers have, approved platforms for that.
You're going to want to embrace AI because, it is going to change how we do business in that part. And I think we talked a little bit about that in the article, but as an advisor or an insurance agent with your clients, the importance of, number one, knowing your client, knowing what you're recommending, but also what you're learning. There is a learning element in this. And if you do that today, you don't, eat the apple in one bite. You take one bite at a time to enjoy the apple. And I think that's the same thing with AI. If you embrace it, but if you take it, in a simple, step-by-step process, you'll understand how to embrace it over time.
Yeah, and we're all in this together, so kind of lean on each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I would do, Chuck, is lean on AI. I mean, if you're an advisor and you can describe, your practice succinctly, ask AI, how should I start to incorporate you? And it will give you great suggestions that are specifically, tailored to you.
As financial professionals begin to use AI, and Greg, I'll have you go first on this one, but how should financial professionals, particularly advisors, measure the impact, measure the positive impact that AI can have in their practice?
Well, I think the first part is the personal use with their strategies and outcome, right? If they're already tracking, their return on investments and they're using this as a tool, I think in terms of communication with their client, what are they getting in return from that? Secondary to the appointments that they set, communications to the clients before and after using AI, and then ultimately how many of those are moving forward. There is an element of them having to, track that if you're new to it, but over time, the system will be able to do that for them.
Anything that, you can measure, you can manage, and you can manage it better with AI. To me, time efficiency is probably the biggest gain.
All right, let's keep this conversation going. Great to talk with Brendon and Greg from E4 Insurance. And thank them for the article and being part of our program today. And to kind of bring it to a close, we get to talk to Steve Cohen, Vice President and National Sales Manager for Lincoln Financial Distributors. As you think about what Greg and Brendon talked about, there are tools that are not AI related that are really still critical. And I wanted to see if you could share some of those from your perspective.
Chuck, I love this question. As you look at the industry and the products that are being designed and built and distributed, one could say that they are becoming more of a commodity. And what I feel is really important for Lincoln and the industry at whole is to be able to bring value-add platforms that really differentiate carriers and bring value across the entire sales cycle of a life insurance policy. So from a pre-sale perspective, the industry could do a much better job of doing field underwriting. And I think the folks that are listening on this call would agree with that. And I look at some of the platforms that Lincoln has built, put into the marketplace, as well as other carriers. And I really think we need to focus on that, because when you think about the experience, the overall positive experience that a retail client, an agent, and an agency has, it really starts with setting expectations with the client. So do we have tools in place that allow an agent to talk to a client about their mortality or their morbidity profile, even their financial situation, to ensure that carriers are willing to take those risks? So I think we should not underestimate the importance of these types of tools. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, is the post-sale management of these solutions. We're putting incredibly complicated products into the marketplace. You think about IUL, you think about VUL solutions, and the need as an industry for us to continue to manage expectations and performance of these products is critical. I'm extremely excited about AI, Chuck, where it's going as an industry. But I don't think we should overlook the importance of the platforms and the tools and the processes that we have in place today.
You can find Brendon and Greg's article on page 10 of the July-August issue of Aspire magazine.